Hi everybody, how's everybody doing today? We are beginning our TSI review. This is going to be part one, evaluating. I'm going to be making a set of videos so that you guys can kind of see what skills you need to answer some of the questions, and hopefully they help you in your assignment during class. So let's go ahead and get started. Part one, evaluate. Very important. What the heck does it mean to evaluate? To find the value of the expression when the variable is replaced by a given number. Keyword replace, substitute. When you're evaluating, you're replacing the variable with a what? A number. So we're going to look at how we could use this skill to answer a couple of questions. So, very simple. Here's question number one. It says if f of x is equal to x plus 12 divided by x minus 5, find f of negative 7. This is function notation. What is it? Function notation. And by now you should be familiarized with this. When something's written in this format, like this, right? The inside part represents the x. So if I say f of negative 7, I'm saying that I'm going to replace all the x's with negative 7. I like to put parentheses so I can kind of show what I'm replacing. So all the x's are going to get replaced with what? Negative 7. And then we do the math. Negative 7 plus 12, it's 5. Negative 7 minus 12, negative 12. Very important thing is that in some of the questions on TSI, you will not have a calculator. So try to do this all without a calculator, which you should be able to. So f of negative 7 is equal to 5 over negative 12. This is my answer. This was my input. This is my output. So, very important. You're going to be expected to do that. Now, let me show you another way how it's not going to kind of say f of x, but how can you use the idea of evaluating to figure out answers? Look at this question. Number 2. Which function represents a table? If you don't remember about linear functions, you'd probably be totally lost. So, one thing we could go ahead and do is plug in numbers, right? Now, they didn't give me a specific number, but they gave me a table. And the table actually has all the values. So, what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, I'm going to replace x with this, and then y with this. Okay? Now, the easiest points that you want to test is usually when there's a 0. So I'm going to test this point first. Okay? This point first, 0, 13. So if I replace here for a, let's look at a. Right? I'm going to replace the x with a negative 2. So I'm going to replace this x with a negative 2. Negative 2 plus 13 should be equal to f of x is 11. So, is this statement true? Well, negative 2 plus 13 is 11. Is 11 equal to 11? Check. Alright, so just because it worked with one point doesn't mean that that's going to be the answer. You have to test multiple points if they give you a table. So I'm going to go ahead and test another point. So let's go ahead. It kind of worked on the first one. Let's check a different point. Let's try an easier point. I'm going to go ahead and plug in easy numbers. Most people like to get away from the negatives because we kind of messed up with the negatives. So I'm going to use this point 114 because it's a simple point. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to replace the x with a what? 1. F of x with 14. So 1 plus 13 is 14. Is 14 equal to 14? The answer is yes. Guess what? That is my answer. Did you see how I replaced the x and the f of x with a value? That's one of the practices you guys could do with answer choices. If they give you answer choices, we could go ahead and evaluate doing this ability. Now, let's look at question number 3. We're going to use the exact same thing. They gave us an equation here. All right. Now, if you know how to solve this by hand, well, hey, that would be the best thing to do. But sometimes we might get stuck. We might not know what to do. You have answer choices. One thing is that we could plug in our answer choices and evaluate if that's a correct statement or not. So, for instance, let's try answer choice A. I'm going to replace the t with 7. Right? Now I'm going to go and try to answer it. 7 minus 2. Now, some of y'all might have problems with this. Every time you're evaluating, keep in mind you're always simplifying. And when you simplify, you gotta use PEMDAS. Not SADMAP, PEMDAS. Why is this important? Because the order matters of how we do things. So over here, I'm going to do the 7 minus 2 first, because P is for parentheses. 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 times 4, 20. Over here, all I got to do is 3 times 7, 21. Are they equivalent? Nope. Guess what? It's not A. Then, we're going to do the same thing now with answer choice B. I'm going to replace the t's with one number? 8. 8 minus 2, 6. 6 times 4, 24. Now let's do the right side. 3 times 8, 24. They match. Guess what? That is my answer. So remember to use the skills of evaluating, right? Especially with answer choices. If you don't know how to do it, that will be your best bet. Thank you. Hopefully this helps.